Hey, what's up guys, it's Bakes and thanks for joining me for another one of my random horror reviews. In today's episode we have a movie from 2019, one that you could possibly say is more of a thriller over a horror movie, but I feel like it walks the line pretty well between the two genres. Here we have the movie Daniel Isn't Real. Now when this movie first came out, as I said in 2019, a lot of people were talking about this movie, and it seemed to be the case that majority of people did enjoy it also. But now that it's been out for a few years, I rarely hear anybody bring up this movie or talk about it anymore, which made it interesting to go back and rewatch this movie. This wasn't a first time watch. The first time seeing this movie probably would have been when it first came out. I feel like I possibly seen it between my first time viewing it and rewatching it for this review, so possibly a third time watch, but either way I had seen this movie before. It's a pretty creative movie and, it does have unique touches to it, but as I said, it's interesting that not a lot of people talk about this movie anymore. But let's quickly get into the plot before I get into my thoughts of Daniel Isn't Real. So, our main character in this movie is Luke, and he's played by, Miles Robbins. And when he was a little kid, Luke experienced this traumatic event. And after this event, he makes up this imaginary friend named Daniel, or at least it's set up like that. That's sort of how the movie starts off. You think that Daniel is this imaginary friend, but I'm going to sort of just leave it there. And Daniel sort of helps him cope and sort of becomes his best friend while they're little kids. But shit goes down and Daniel is now pushed out of Luke's life. But now Luke is older. I think he's in college or something now. He's 18, 19, something like that. And he's a very sympathetic character. He's clearly not right. He's pretty depressed. He's got lots of anxiety. Shit's just not right in his life. And Daniel comes back into his life and starts turning shit on its head even more. So I'm going to sort of leave it there, leave it a bit vague, but let's get into my thoughts of Daniel Isn't Real from 2019. Now, as I said before in my intro, this is a movie that I have seen before. However, it has been a little while since I last checked it out. But from what I remember last time seeing this movie is that for myself it felt a little bit underwhelming. But rewatching it this time, I feel like it's more so the case of this movie being unfortunate than underwhelming. And what I mean by that is it has a really cool concept and there's lots of cool ideas throughout this movie. However, there's something missing that stops me from enjoying this movie more. And the unfortunate thing is that I can't quite put my finger on it, which is really annoying. Let's start with our acting and our characters, I guess. As I mentioned earlier, Miles Robbins, who plays our lead Luke, I feel like he does such a great job. I really like Miles Robbins as an actor. I feel like he's really underappreciated. And it's unfortunate because I haven't seen him in anything in a little while. I recognise him from Blumhouse's Halloween in 2018. He was also in that comedy with John Cena and Leslie Mann called Blockers. I think that was from the same year, actually. But I really like him as an actor. As I said, haven't seen him in a little while, but he is great in this movie. His character that he plays, Luke, is... I feel so bad for Luke because there's so many problems in his life and he's clearly got mental issues. His character is depressed and troubled and isolated, and it's depicted so bleak and realistic. And as I said, you can put that down to Miles Robbins' performance because I feel like he does such a great job. Leading alongside him, we have Patrick Schwarzenegger, who is Arnold Schwarzenegger's son. I'm sure you could put that together because Schwarzenegger isn't a very common last name. But either way, he does such a great job also. He plays Daniel. And Daniel is the total opposite to Luke. He's confident, he's calculating, and the two really play off each other so amazingly. So both of our leads in this movie do such a great job, and what makes it even more impressive really is that they're so young, and both of these actors have bigger careers ahead of them, and I'd like to see them in more things. As I said, Miles Robbins, I feel like I just haven't seen him in a little while, and Patrick Schwarzenegger, quite honestly, I don't think I've seen him in anything else. I think he was in Grown Ups 2, but that was sort of just a background role, but I'd like to see both of them in more because I feel like they do a really good job as both of our leads in this movie. Now, one thing that I've thought about that could potentially be stopping me from connecting fully with this movie is this movie has a lot of metaphors and commentary and subtle things going on that feel like could have potentially gone over my head, as in I feel like I understand the movie and I know what's going on, but as I said, there's so many of these nuanced things throughout the film going on that I could have potentially missed one that's stopping me from fully understanding or taking this movie in 100%, which is unfortunate. Maybe I gotta go and check out an analysis on this movie or something like that so I can fully understand it. As I said, I feel like I do, but potentially there's something still going over my head with this movie. But as I said, this movie is pretty creative. You know, it separates itself from a lot of other evil imaginary friend movies. You know, it's taken a lot more serious. This whole parasitic, transmittable angle, I'm not going to get into that too much, but I really enjoyed that. But as I said, there's just something here with this movie stopping me from having a lot more enjoyment with this movie. As I said, I don't hate this movie. It's pretty creative. Lots of creative imagery too and effects, which I really enjoyed with this one. But I'm going to move on to my rating now. I feel like this is going to be a shorter review. But I'm going to give Daniel Isn't Real from 2019 a 6 out of 10. And I feel like sometimes when I give movies like a 6 or a 6.5, a lot of people go, oh, stay away from that. By far, 6 is not a bad rating. It's just more so not really my thing. I feel like a lot of other people could get lots more enjoyment out of this movie than what I did. As I said, this movie is not bad by any means. I just feel like there is something disconnecting myself from this movie. And sometimes that is just the case. Maybe I'm not having something go over my head with this movie, or, you know, there's something that I'm missing. Sometimes people just don't connect with movies as much as other people, and that could be the case here. I feel like a bad rating, or where the rating starts to get a bit iffy, is like a 4.5 and lower, but by all means 6 isn't too bad, and I feel like if I do recommend this movie, people will enjoy it. So here I have Daniel Isn't Real, 6 out of 10 for my rating here. So there we go, guys. Thank you for joining me for this review of Daniel Isn't Real. This was a movie that was a little bit tricky to talk about because, as I said, I feel like potentially there are still parts in this movie that could be going over my head. I do feel about 85% confident that I do understand the movie fully, but I would be lying if there aren't like small, minute things that I feel like could be going over my head. So I did want to bring that up, but it's an interesting movie. It's creative and it's got cool ideas, and by far it's not a bad movie. As I said towards the end of my review there, sometimes with movies there's just this personal disconnection and something that a lot of other people would enjoy, and just it's not there for you, and that could be the case with this movie. You know, a lot of things on paper I really do enjoy. I like our performances, 2 great performances from our leads. I like the story, I like the creative imagery and everything, but I just feel like there is something there missing that has me checking out occasionally, you know, around the halfway mark of this movie. But by all means, as I said, not a bad movie. If you've seen this movie, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you for another video soon, guys. Peace.